Hello, hello, and welcome to the Kiran Show. Today we're gonna have a Sweet 16 preview for you. Um, should be a good one. So we got the Sweet 16 starts Thursday and Friday. So we can go over our picks, and who we think is gonna win the game and that kind of stuff.
hmm
All right.
All right, so starting off, we'll go in chronological order from when these games are going to be played. So first we have Arkansas versus Gonzaga.
One sec. I'll be right there. Keep going. Keep going. Sorry.
Um, so Arkansas and Gonzaga, I have to go with Gonzaga here. They've been the top team all year, and I really don't see any reason for that to change here. This isn't a dig against Arkansas, just that Gonzaga is definitely the best team right now, in all of college basketball, and certainly in that region. So yeah, this is a fairly easy pick for me to make. And even though they had a much closer call than expected against Georgia Southern, where that game was really close for really the first like 30 minutes before they pulled away, and then again in the second round. But I still think that just their overall talent is going to overwhelm Arkansas here.
No, yeah, I've got to go with that too because well, Gonzaga is just such a good team, and we saw what happened in the second half. Sure, the first half it was really rough. You saw Memphis was playing better basketball than them, but you see they have guys like Drew Timmy that can just take over, and then they got guys like Chet that can block shots, play down in the paint, and then they've got just an all around really solid team. So this is a team that, while I don't think they're as good as last year, I do think that they can make a run to the Final Four. And I think this is a game. I mean, sure, Arkansas's got guys like JD Note that are gonna score some points, put some points on the board. Arkansas can play some defense. They're not a bad team by any means, but this Gonzaga team, like you said, their talent should overwhelm Arkansas. But we'll see. I mean, while Memphis has been playing a lot better, I do think Arkansas is better than them, and saw the trouble that Gonzaga had with them. So we'll see. But I think the real challenge for Gonzaga is going to come when they play the winner of the Texas Tech Duke game. I think they're going to win this game. Might be close, but I think they've got this one.
hmm
So
Yeah,
next
I agree
game,
with you.
Michigan, Villanova. Um, that game, that's a very interesting game because you
It
got a
is an
team
interesting
in
game.
Michigan really hasn't really couldn't get themselves together during the regular season, but now kind of looks like they're starting to hit their stride, hit where they want to be. But we're gonna see. Um, and then Villanova, they've just, I mean, they haven't had too much of a challenge yet. I mean, Ohio State. I mean, it wasn't a blowout per se, but they had control of that game. Same with the Loyola Chicago game. But Michigan might be a little more of a test. Who do you think is going to come away with the win here?
Um, it's certainly an interesting game because Michigan really they came out to a very slow start against Colorado State, but once they picked up there. They've been fantastic ever since, extending into that
Yeah,
Tennessee game. And Tennessee, I know I had them in the Final Four. You had them winning it all, right? Tennessee, a lot of
Tennessee was
people, including
one of the
us, expected
hottest
them to
teams in
go
the
far.
country, and they beat them.
Right,
And they beat them by 8 points too. It wasn't like came down to the last shot. At the end, they really found a way to pull away, which was really impressive.
right. Really impressive win for Michigan, and I think Tennessee's a better team than Villanova.
I,
Um,
I agree with
Now
that.
that said, we don't know like if they're still going to preserve that momentum against Villanova. But I'm gonna go with Michigan here in another upset for them.
Yeah,
Recently they've made some nice runs deep in the tournament. I feel like they can do that again this year as an 11 seed. And they've been inconsistent all year. They've just kind of just now they found their groove and they're really hot right now. Obviously, I feel like they're gonna come away with a win here. What about you?
yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. I'm not too much of a Villanova lover myself, but I just think that Michigan, while they may not be the more experienced, more talented team, I feel like the way they're playing right now, Houston's hitting shots. They've got Hunter Dickinson, a big guy. down in the post. They've got a lot of really solid players. Um,
Yeah.
and I think Michigan can win this game.
Mhm.
Now Villanova does have some players. Colin Gillespie, great college player. It's not going to be easy, but I think if they play the way they did against Tennessee, which that's not a given considering how they've played all year. They've been so
Right.
inconsistent. Before these last two games, they hadn't won a game. They hadn't won back-to-back games all season. So, I mean, we don't really know how they're going to play, but I feel like the way they're playing, I don't want to jinx them, but they do. They have seemed to hit a groove, and if they can continue that, they are going to win this game against Villanova. Um,
Mhm. Right. I feel
yeah,
like I feel like a lot of that comes down to Caleb Easton as well because he didn't really live up to the hype this season.
yeah,
there was a lot of hype for him entering the season, but he's had his
yeah,
ups
but
and downs. It's been
he
up
still
for him
can.
lately, and I feel
He
like if
still,
he can
yeah,
continue to play at that
yeah,
level that we know he can play at, but hasn't played at so often, I feel like that's the key here for Michigan winning this game.
yeah. He hasn't really. Obviously, he wasn't as efficient and maybe didn't score as much as you want. A guy that was originally projected top 15, top 20 pick. Now he slipped maybe a second round or late first round guy that might decide to come back to Michigan for another year. But lately, you saw in the Colorado State game, this guy is a shooter. He can get hot. He can knock down his shots. Really good player. He's going to be someone to watch for. The Hunter Dickinson,
Right.
obviously, has
No,
been the
Hunter
star of
Dickens
the
is going to have a
team.
good
He's
game
got an
pretty much no
outside
matter
shot
what,
now.
but
Yeah, he'll be a lot to contain for Villanova. Um, so Texas Tech Duke.
mhm.
This is going to be a fun game. And I
Yeah,
think I'm going to go with Texas Tech here. I think Duke. They're on Coach K's last run. They're gonna play hard, and they've got some real good players in Banchero. Obviously, they've got guys like Wendell Moore. But this team's lost some big games earlier this season. They lost to UNC, a big rivalry game, Coach K's last home game. I don't think I believe in this team really. I mean,
yeah,
they're a good team. They've got a lot of talent, lot of talent. But the Texas Tech, they play really good defense, and while they may not score a ton, they can hit their free throws. They've got guys who can score. Terrence Shannon didn't have a good game last game, but we've seen him score the basketball really well. They've got a bunch of guys who can play really good defense, and I think Duke's going to have a really hard time with that. And I think Texas Tech is going to win this game.
yeah. I agree with you here. Duke is the weakest of the two seeds, in my opinion. Probably shouldn't have been a two seed. I would have given it to Tennessee personally.
Yeah.
Um, Texas Tech's been playing great defense all year. It's a pretty deep team. They have Bryson Williams and, as you mentioned, Terrence Shannon. Kevin O'Banner transferred from Oral Roberts last year after their Sweet 16 run, and yeah, Duke. I think this is going to be Coach K's last game. Then if they lose, and at risk of sounding like a conspiracy theorist, I wonder if they'll get a couple of favorable calls if it's a really close game at the end.
We'll see.
I mean, we've seen some questionable officiating already this tournament,
Oh,
but
this tournament, the
yeah,
the officiating has been horrible.
right. So that's what I'm saying.
Every year
If
there's
they're
gonna be
gonna,
calls that are bad. I feel like this year though, we've
there's
seen
been more of them
hanging on
this
the
year,
rim.
certainly.
Yeah, hanging on the rim to protect yourself has been called a technical foul, which is
Hmm.
ridiculous. There's been some
Right.
clear out of bounds calls gone the other ways. Officiate is just a lot of horrible foul calls.
Yeah.
I just don't think the official. I mean, TCU got scammed. He got obviously got bumped at the free throw
Right.
line. Didn't call anything, and I understand letting them play in a close game, but you're handing Arizona the win, and it clearly did look like a foul. And TCU could have gone to the line, hit one free throw, sealed the game. That would have been it.
Yeah.
Instead, we have Arizona advancing. So
So this feels like a
yeah,
time where there might be some more questionable calls, but officiating aside, Texas Tech is the better of these two teams, in my
I
opinion.
wouldn't. I don't
I
know
just
if I'd
think they're
say
gonna,
better. Honest,
they're playing better right
I
now.
I would say better actually. Talented, no. Better, yes. I know.
I mean, Duke easily has the best player on either team in Paolo Banchero.
Yeah,
but
Banchero's been great this year. They
yeah,
also got Mark Williams,
AJ
AJ. I mean,
Griffin.
I don't know AJ's Griffin's status. He got hurt. Oh no, he's gonna play. He's gonna play. He's gonna play.
Yeah,
But AJ Griffin knocks down threes. Mark Williams, great interior presence. Trevor Keels, Wendell Moore. They've got really good players. I just don't feel it with this team. But yeah,
yeah.
sorry, keep going.
Perhaps stronger on paper, but Texas Tech has
Yeah,
just played
I'd have
better
to
as a
agree with
whole
that.
this year.
Yeah, yeah. And Texas Tech, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Duke came out here, I mean, and really beat them by a lot. But that's just if they play really good basketball because Texas Tech can go really cold at times. But I don't think that's going to happen
But
here.
their
I think they're
defense
going to play
can
good
keep them in the
defense.
games still.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it does. But the only thing is if you have guys like Banchero who can score, and if you have that kind of talent, you'll if someone's on, they'll find a way to score the basketball, and that's the only thing that worries me. But I still do think Texas Tech's winning this game.
Yeah, like they're gonna win this game. It'll be by a score of like 58-52. But I
Yeah, no,
certainly think
I think they
Duke
can get
wins
to
that.
60 points. I don't think they hold Duke to less than 55 points. If Duke scores over 70 points, Duke will win this game.
Right.
But I think the score is more like a 62-60 kind of score. Something like that. But yeah, no,
Yeah, that's fair too.
58, like 52, that's
Mhm.
reasonable for sure.
Yeah. So next game, last game of Thursday, Houston versus Arizona. Who do you got?
I've got I Arizona is a bit of a shaky pick, but I don't really love Houston either. I, I I'm gonna go with Arizona here. Arizona obviously had a little bit of a tough game against TCU, but TCU played a terrific game, and Arizona has been so good all season long. Um, Kirk Krisha from Arizona really was cold. He missed a lot of threes that he usually hits. That's going to be huge. If he can hit his shots, that's going to be so big for Arizona. Benedict Mathurin had a 30 piece. They're going to need some big performances from him. But honestly, I don't really love this Houston team. I mean, I don't really think that Illinois was that good of a team. I mean, they almost lost to Chattanooga. They if Coburn isn't effective, I mean, Coburn was being doubled all game. Trent Frazier, who had a good year, just couldn't score the ball. And Plummer, who hit some big threes in the first game, also just couldn't get it going. No one was getting it going. And I don't think Illinois is that good of a team, honestly. I just don't see it. And Houston did have a good win against them. Houston has had some good wins in this tournament. UAB was not a bad team. They weren't amazing, and Jordan Walker didn't play good, but they aren't a slouch of a team. Houston's not a bad team. They're a good team, but I just don't think they've faced a challenge like Arizona yet. And I think Arizona is going to be the one to send them home.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you here. Houston, they've kind of flown under the radar this season despite making the Final Four last year,
Yeah,
and they've been pretty solid this year. Only lost 5 games and 2 pretty convincing tournament wins. They're pretty deep. They've had 6 players scoring in double digits, and another one with 9.8 points per game. But at
yeah.
the end of the day, I agree with you. They're not really, and they've had some. They've only played Alabama really in terms of really tough teams. They played Memphis as well,
And
but
Alabama's not a
generally,
good team.
right? They're not.
Alabama's not
They
good.
haven't had a very tough schedule,
Alabama
certainly.
is.
You
I
know,
don't honestly. I don't even think they should have been in the tournament. Alabama was not a good team. Vanderbilt bounced them in the second round of the SEC tournament. Notre Dame had a convincing win against them. Alabama's not that good. And for this, I think I was telling you the other day, Houston has not beat a single seed, a team in single digits since before they beat Illinois. So even last year's run leaves a little doubt in my mind. Not to say they weren't a good team, but it's just
but they certainly benefited from an easy
no,
bracket,
yeah,
right? Where they
they
were, I
played a
believe,
lot
in the
of weak
region that had
competition.
Oregon State in the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if
and
you're
they had
playing
Loyola Chicago as well. Or no, because
what?
Loyola beat Illinois in that same region, and then
Yeah,
Oregon State made the Elite Eight.
yeah. And West Virginia, the 3 seed who would have played them, lost to like Syracuse or something like that.
Yes, that sounds right.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Right, I remember because Buddy Boeheim had a pretty solid tournament last year.
yeah. No, he did,
So
and then Houston sent him
right,
home.
they've certainly not had the hardest path, and now that they've run it, Arizona is without a doubt the best team they'll be playing all season,
Yeah,
and I
no,
don't
yeah,
think they'll be able to handle them.
yeah. I have to agree with that. Yeah, Arizona is a really strong team, and I know that they had the tough game, but still, they're a really good team.
Right. I
And
mean, I could see Houston keeping it close certainly, but I do think at the end of the
I
day,
could see
Arizona
that
would.
too. I think Arizona wins this game like 80 to 70 or something like that.
Yeah, I win by like 5, 15 points. It won't come
Yeah.
down to the last shot, but Houston will be in it.
Yeah. All right.
They'll make game of it.
So that's the Thursday slate of games.
Uh huh.
Friday, St. Peter's versus Purdue.
Yep. Um, I love St. Peter as much as the next guy, but Purdue wins this game easily. Um, Jaden Ivey is fantastic, as we know. St. Peter's great that they're here, but Purdue is by far the better team. This is probably going to be the biggest blowout of the round, unfortunately.
I don't
And
know.
I mean, look, they're playing with a lot of heart right now, St. Peter's, but this is easily the biggest, talent gap of the round. But I guess I could
Yeah.
see them making it kind of close. I mean, we've seen some 15 seeds. Look at what Oral Roberts did last year. They were so close to making it to the Elite Eight, but
Yeah. No.
I
Yeah.
don't see it happening.
I've got Purdue winning this game too. But the thing is, JJ Redick tweeted, I think the first game when they beat Kentucky, he tweeted that St. Peter's runs really good offensive sets. So I looked for that, and they really do. They get shooters open like Doug Eater, um, and they can really score in a lot of different ways. A lot of threes. They're gonna get their guys open. But that being said, Purdue will win this game,
I
and
think this game is going to be
while
pretty
I
high
could see it
scoring.
being close, there's no way St. Peter's wins this game.
I
But
would not be shocked if Purdue scored in triple digits for this game. I don't believe any team is
they're not
that
going to score
good.
triple digits. They're not going to score triple
It could
digits.
happen. I wouldn't. I don't. I wouldn't expect it, but I wouldn't be shocked either.
It's not going to be as much of a blowout as you think.
I'm not saying it's
Purdue's
going
going
to
to
be a big
win
blow. I'm just saying I think it'll
convincingly.
be high scoring regardless.
Purdue's going to win convincingly, but it's not going to be by a
Not by 30, by like
lot of
15.
points. Jaden Ivey is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Edey, all those guys, really good players. But who knows? Maybe some magic happens. But
Who
no,
knows?
I think Purdue wins this game by quite a bit.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. But yeah,
Right.
no, Purdue's winning this game.
Yeah, I agree. So then after that we have
I've actually got Purdue going to the Final Four, so they better win this game.
I know, yeah. Purdue's looking pretty strong right now, especially in that region.
That region is really weak.
Yeah.
UNC played a really good game. I had them winning that game too. Me and you both had that game.
Right.
And UCLA is not a bad team. They made it to Final Four last year. They've got some really good players. But I think Purdue's got a pretty good shot at making the Final Four. They got a good path. So next game.
That is
Kansas
probably the
Providence.
weakest region, either that or the Midwest region. And speaking of which, that's the next game, Kansas and Providence.
So
for me, it has to be Kansas here. Providence, a lot of people, they were a very popular pick to be upset in the first round by South Dakota State. I know according to ESPN, more than 30% of people picked South Dakota State to win, which is unheard of as a 13 seed. And it was understandable why. I mean, South Dakota had that winning streak in Providence. They just lived by these close games. I think like 17-2 in games that were decided by less than 10 points.
No, yeah.
They can do that against Kansas. Kansas, they were notoriously a weak 4 seed. All the predictive metrics didn't like them, and I think it's been a somewhat surprising run, which is odd to say because they're a 4 seed, but most people do not have them making this far, especially with Iowa as their predicted second round matchup. Obviously, Richmond won that game, but still, I think their run has to end here.
I'm going to be different here. I'm going to go with Providence. Look, Providence, I had South Dakota State winning that game.
Yeah.
A lot of people did too. But that wasn't a slight at Providence. Providence wasn't ever a bad team. And while they were in a lot of close games, at what point does that luck become an actual trait? And we can say that no, that's not luck. That's them being clutch. They win games that are close. And they do. They win close games. And I think that's what's going to happen here. Obviously, I mean, even against South Dakota State, who shot the best 3-point percentage from three this year in the whole country, Providence didn't even play that great of a game, and they still won. They still won by quite a bit too. It wasn't even like it was down to the wire. Providence was going to win that game. South Dakota State started off hot, but Providence won that game pretty convincingly, and they didn't even play too well to do it. Now, Kansas is a really good team. Kansas has a lot of veterans too, but Providence does too. Providence has lots and lots of seniors. They got a couple super seniors, all those kinds of guys. They can hit threes. They did. They haven't so far. I think if the threes fall, Providence will win this game. It's going to be close. I'm going with it though. Providence is going to beat Kansas. Score is going to be like 77-74. Thank you.
I have Kansas going to the Final Four. I think actually the title game, and it's because they have, in my opinion, not easily, but the easiest path to the Final Four out of any of the one seeds, especially now that Auburn has been bounced, because you have Providence left, who entered as a pretty weak 4 seed, as we've discussed, and then two double-digit seeds in Miami and Iowa State. I think Kansas wins this game, makes the Final Four as well.
Miami and Iowa State are not
super
bad
strong
teams.
team, but like not a super strong one seed. They're obviously a very good team, but
yeah,
even though I don't think that they're not fantastic, but they will find a way to win this game.
Yeah,
certainly, in my opinion, and whatever game comes after that. So,
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
UNC, UCLA. Where are you going with here?
This is a very interesting matchup. I mean, obviously UNC has had a couple of big wins recently. That win against Duke in Coach K's final home game, and then just recently against Baylor. And it was nearly an incredible choke job by them.
But to be fair, they're
because of that ejection.
Yeah,
right.
Brady
A lot of
Manning,
questionable calls against them.
very bad. I don't know how he got ejected for that. I
Right.
mean, he also was
very
the
poor
leading scorer
officiating
at the
that
game.
game.
Like 27 points. He was having a great game.
Right. Very poor officiating, but they did not help themselves. I'll say that. There were some big missed free throws down the stretch and a poor final possession of regulation. Fortunately for them, they were able to win in overtime. But, if they can just come out, because Brady Manick will be back, if they can just come out playing the way they did in the first half, really the first 30 or so minutes of that Baylor game, I think they should win this game, but I don't know that they do. It's been an inconsistent season for them, which is why they're only an 8 seed, despite having some of these big wins. And UCLA obviously made the Final Four last year. This team, obviously, they're a higher seed, but UCLA has more experience here. They've had the better season. And, Johnny Juzang's having another solid season after that Final Four run last year.
He's been really
I'm going to go with UCLA here. It'll be close. I think this might be one of the closest games, but I got UCLA.
I'm not even going to lie. Johnny Juzang's been really mid this year. He's had a horrible tournament so far. He's been really inefficient, and he had a strong start to the year, but he's been really off since then. He's not been that good. So that's going to be a big factor in this game. I'm also going to go with UCLA
against St. Mary's.
What'd you say?
He was solid against St. Mary's.
Yeah, but to be fair, they blew him out by like 40 points. They had time to score extra points when it mattered.
Game, and it was a closer game.
In the game where Akron kept it close.
Well,
where Akron kept it close, Juzang did nothing. He was very inefficient. He scored a couple points, but he was so inefficient. Tiger Campbell had to do a bulk of the lifting there. And I do think UCLA is going to win this. And I think it should be a close game, but if UNC doesn't play well, this game will be over really quick. Um, but we'll see if Brady Manick comes out the way he did last game. Who knows? This team is a really good team. UNC
Hmm.
got guys like Caleb Love, R.J. Davis, Brady Manick,
Right.
Armando Bacot. They've got a lot of really good players. But like you said, inconsistent. They're the 8 seed for a
Yeah.
reason. And while they are a very strong 8 seed, UCLA has that experience. They made the Final Four last year. Got a lot of guys. Jaime Jaquez. Um, they've got Johnny Juzang. They've got Tiger Campbell. They've got a bunch of really good players, and I think UCLA is going to edge them out. But I mean, who knows if Johnny Juzang
Right.
doesn't play that good? If he plays like he did against Akron, they're going to lose this game. If UNC plays similar to the way they played in the first half, and even if Johnny Juzang does step up, if like you said, if UNC plays the way they did in the first half, they can win. They can definitely win this game.
Mhm.
But I
It
do
is
think
to
UCLA
me.
comes
It's
out
like
of
which version of UNC shows up, and I feel like it's going to be the worst version because they absolutely demolished Marquette in the first round, and then they played so well against Baylor, and they've had their, of course they've dealt with injuries, but they're still a pretty good team. I just feel like they're bound to come down to earth after such a strong first weekend, and UCLA will be the beneficiaries of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, we're gonna see that. That's one of the big games to watch. That's gonna be a really good game. Should be close, but like you said, if UNC doesn't come out playing well, UCLA will win this game. But
Mhm.
that's a very hard game to pick.
Mhm.
The
So the
last
last
game,
game of the Sweet 16 will be Iowa State and Miami. Is
yeah,
probably going to be one of the hardest games to predict because neither team is supposed to be here. Both double-digit seeds. Who do
yeah,
you got?
I'm gonna go with you, Miami. I really liked how they played against Auburn, and I think Iowa's really good. Iowa State's really good. They play great defense, um, and they've been hitting more shots than normal, but it's been the defense that's won them the games. Um, Miami, not only will they play some really good defense, they completely shut down Jabari Smith Jr. and Walker Kessler, two star bigs from Auburn. But they also were able to hit their shots. Isaiah Wong had a great game. They've got a lot of veterans. They can shoot, they can defend, they can do a lot well. And while Iowa State plays really good defense and they've been playing better offensively, a little bit better offensively as lately, I don't think they're going to score enough points to win this game. I think Miami wins this game. It should be close. I'd say something like 60-57. I wouldn't be surprised that all of both teams are in the 50s. Maybe even one team in the 40s. This is not going to be super high scoring. I do think Miami comes out of here with a win though.
I agree. And Miami, not only are they the only slightly higher seed, but still the higher seed, but they've also their wins have been stronger to get here. A lot of people picked them to lose against USC, and then that Auburn
I
was
didn't.
win was that was a really yeah, that's right. You did predict Miami, but then again,
I didn't
Auburn
have.
is
I didn't have the Auburn game though. That was a little
yeah.
bit surprising.
No, because no one expected Jabari Smith to be completely locked down like that. Miami did a fantastic job, and they looked great on the offensive end too. Just a really complete performance by them. It
Yeah,
was
that
an
was that
18-point
was that
victory,
was cool. That yeah, they.
right? A
I mean,
convincing
if
win
you
for
watch the
them,
end of that game, Auburn was so lost offensively, they couldn't get into anything, and Miami was just running circles around them.
right? And
Miami's
then
just they were older, they were more experienced, and they played great defense, hit their shots, and they won the game by a lot.
right, and then you look at Iowa's two wins, and they both came against relatively weaker teams for the seeds they were LSU and then Wisconsin. No disrespect to Johnny Davis, but Wisconsin was on the weaker side certainly for a 3 seed,
Yeah.
and I did. I had LSU making the Sweet 16. I think the Elite Eight. Unfortunately, that's not happening. But it does show that that's not such a strong half of the bracket, especially now
Yeah.
Auburn is gone.
No, yeah, that's a really
So
weak conference.
right.
Yeah. I
region.
mean, I will say though, the higher seeds are very nice teams. They're very good for higher seeds though.
We'll just Kansas is only, as I mentioned before,
No, no,
Kansas is
sorry.
the only
I
really
meant
strong
like
team
lower.
left.
I meant lower
Yeah,
seeds, like higher number. Yeah, my bad, my bad.
yeah, no,
I meant teams like because they had a lot of good teams. They had South Dakota State, who everyone thought was going to win, but they
hmm
didn't. But they also had
Richmond
Colgate, who
pulled
was a
off that
really
huge upset.
Colgate almost upset Wisconsin. Colgate was a
Uh-huh.
really solid team too. They had a lot of better lower seeds, but the higher seed. I mean, Kansas is a good team, but I mean, and Auburn was great at times, but Wisconsin, like you said, just didn't seem like a great team.
Yeah, so just I think based off of strength of victory in the recent few rounds and just general talent, I think Miami takes this game.
Yeah,
I would say we'll keep it pretty close. I think their best shot of winning this game is to keep it low scoring,
yeah,
but I don't see how that happens because Miami just looks so smooth against Auburn. You know,
yeah,
it looks so effortless on both ends of the court.
yeah.
And Iowa State, they can score, but they're not. It's not what they go to. Their defense is the key, and we saw how they shut down Jabari Smith.
Yeah, no,
I
if
think
Iowa State has to
just win in both
bank on
places.
scoring the if Iowa State has to bank on scoring the
Right.
basketball in this game, they will not win. They will not win this game.
They have to keep it to one of those low scoring affairs. I don't think they can let Miami score more than like 60, 65 because
Yeah,
this game's going to get out of hand.
yeah, no, I agree with that. So now,
Mhm.
are you standing by your pick of Gonzaga winning it all?
I am. And that's partially because a lot of these other teams who we've predicted to go far have been eliminated, particularly
Tennessee.
what's called Tennessee.
Yeah,
But also, Kentucky's out. They were arguably the strongest team from that region. I picked Virginia Tech to go to the Final Four against my better judgment. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, no, Gonzaga is still my pick. Yes, they didn't, it was a close game against Memphis, but Memphis was certainly a strong team. Jalen Duren's very good. And every single 1-8 or 1-9 game was close. TCU probably should have won. UNC did win. Kansas Creighton was close despite Creighton having a bunch of injuries. And obviously Memphis Gonzaga was
Creighton.
right.
No, Creighton was the team. Creighton really impressed me. Creighton's big man was out,
It should not have been that.
and they are a team full of young guys, freshmen, sophomores. A lot of young guys, and Kansas is a team full of vets, and they almost pulled off.
No super seniors on Creighton.
Yeah, yeah. Not a big fan of super seniors.
Right.
They're fine, but if you got a guy like Jordan Bohannon, who's like a triple super senior, who's like 90 years old, it gets a little annoying. We'll
Yeah.
say.
I mean,
Mm,
I understand why these guys are here. They're here because they're not, good enough for the NBA.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Well,
They're having their fun in college, but it's a little annoying for these other teams. You know.
yeah. No, yeah. Jordan Bohannon's had a year left of eligibility for the last 90 years. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. But this is his last year, we think, unless he pulls out another year of eligibility from somewhere.
Well,
We'll see.
you never know, but I do think Gonzaga still wins. They have
Yeah.
Chet Holmgren, probably the best player still alive in the tournament.
You know
Here
what?
maybe Paolo Banchero, but Duke is just generally weaker team. You also have Drew Timme. He's a college basketball star. He
I
might be solid in the NBA. I don't know, but
I could see
for
him being
college,
solid in the NBA. The
being
only thing is
fantastic for the college game.
he's not a great defender. That's the only thing that scares me. But he can score. I feel like some of that'll translate to the NBA if he
Oh, he was
declares his
great
team.
in the second half of that Memphis game
He was
and
yeah,
against
he was
Georgia State as
perfect.
well.
All
He's been
right.
on fire so far. I think that continues. They don't have a super strong 2 seed in Duke. Texas Tech is good, but I just feel like Gonzaga will. I feel like Gonzaga can just outplay them. Then there's that. We have that really weak region down there with Baylor and Kentucky already eliminated. Purdue is good, but if they can shut down Jaden Ivey, Gonzaga should have a pretty easy time in
Yeah.
that game, which
You know
is
what?
no gimme because Jaden Ivey's incredible. But
Yeah.
I just feel like Gonzaga as a whole has more depth, and I
Yeah.
feel like they're gonna pull that one out. And
Yeah.
then I don't know. I just think they can beat Arizona based off of pure talent alone. They've come so close in recent years. Last year they came out and got smacked in the mouth by Baylor, but I think this year they'll be back, they'll be ready, and they'll be able to win. What
Yeah.
about you?
You know what? I'm gonna have to go with the team you had them getting knocked out to in Purdue. Look,
Not going with
Gonzaga
Tennessee
is a
anymore.
what'd you say?
Not going with Tennessee anymore.
We don't talk about that. Nah. Nah. But Gonzaga's a really good team. They've got really good players. Chet Holmgren's a really great player. Drew Timmy, great college player. Andrew Nemhard, great guard. They've got a lot of good players, but I think Jaden Ivey, I feel like for the last part of the tournament, we saw that dagger three hit the other game. He is going to be a star in the NBA, but I think he has one of those big tournament games against Gonzaga, beats them, wins the championship in the next round. I just think I really like this team. I mean, Jaden Ivey is I could be he's one of the better players for sure in college basketball. He's
Probably
got to
top
debate
five
for the
NBA
best.
draft pick.
Yeah. I love the Kings to I mean, we've drafted guards so many years in a row that maybe not, but he is going to be great for somebody who ends up with him in the NBA. I have no doubt. I might be too early. I have no doubt he will be a star in the NBA. Best guard in this class. And then they've also got guys like Zach Edey, tall, big man, shot blocker, good in the post. They've got Travion Williams off the bench. Sasha Stefanovic hits threes. It's a well-rounded team, and I think Ivy's just gonna be the star he is. He's gonna score. They're gonna win, and they're going to advance to the championship after. I mean, first they have to get to the Final Four, but I think they're going to do that against St. Peter's, then the winner of UNC, UCLA, and then Gonzaga is going to be a close game. I think Purdue wins, and I think this team has enough to win a national championship, and I think that's just what they do.
That's a reasonable pick, certainly, and they have not like cakewalk, but certainly a pretty clear cut path to the Final Four here. With
There's a lot of
UNC,
easy pass. I'm not even a
Kentucky,
lot.
Purdue.
There's paths have become. I mean, Gonzaga still has the 1, 2, 3, and 4 seed in. They still have the top 4 seeds in. But besides that, there's a lot of like open paths to making it to the Final Four. It's not one of those years where, I mean, obviously there's tons of upsets every year, but I mean, this year especially, we've seen a lot of great seeds get knocked out early, first round, second round. And it's made it a lot easier for a team like Kansas, even though I had them losing. Teams like Kansas, teams like Arizona, teams like Gonzaga, the 1 seeds to
No,
make
yeah,
it
the
far.
bracket's really fallen in favor of these teams.
What?
I feel the bracket's really fallen in favor. I feel like of all the teams that are now the top in their league,
Yeah,
it's all one
because you
seed
see
with the
teams.
exception of Purdue.
Yeah, we've seen
Um,
Baylor got knocked out. I had them losing to UNC in that game. Some people probably did have them going far as the 1 seed, but I just didn't see it because
yeah,
obviously missing Big 12
no,
Defensive
I had
Player of
that
the
too.
Year,
It
missing their leading scorer.
mm,
They didn't play. I mean, they almost came back and won, but they didn't play great basketball in the first half. It killed them. And I mean, Kentucky got knocked out the first round, and they were
right.
a
That
popular
was
pick
one
for
that no
the
one
Final
at all
Four. I
saw
didn't have them,
coming.
but I know a lot of people who did. And you still got Tennessee obviously got knocked out. That was who I did have, but Tennessee was one of the hotter teams in the country. Same with Iowa. Iowa also got knocked out really early. Two of the hotter teams in the country coming off big conference tournaments. They just couldn't win, and we've seen a lot of these teams get knocked out. And like you said, I mean, it's fallen. The brackets have fallen really in favor of some of those teams. So it's going to be a fun Sweet 16. It's going to be a fun rest of the way to the Final Four and eventually the national championship. But yeah, anything else
Mm. So one last question before we wrap it up. What game are you most excited for this weekend?
this weekend?
Well, just for the Sweet 16.
Um, I might have to, Miami. Iowa State doesn't have any implications of my bracket, but that's going to be a really good game. You know what? I'm actually going to go with UCLA UNC. I'm excited for a lot of the games on Friday. I mean, Purdue obviously, I think they're going to win, but the other three games I think will end up being close games. I am very excited for UCLA UNC because I feel like it's going to come down to it might come down to the wire. Depending on how both teams play. But I feel like that's a really evenly matched game. Especially if both teams play well, it's gonna be a really close game. Um, and yeah, what about you?
So yeah, I considered saying the same one that you said, and also possibly Michigan Villanova, which I think is going to be a pretty close game. It's not one that's getting a ton of hype right now, but
Yeah,
I think
Michigan,
I think
Villanova, and Texas Tech, Duke are good
yeah,
games.
Texas Tech Duke is going to be the most exciting game to watch for me. I feel like no matter what, Duke is going to keep it close. They're not going to let
Yeah,
Coach get blown out in his final game.
no, yeah, I agree
And
with
but
that.
Texas Tech, I did predict them to win. They are a great team. I think it won't be super high scoring. I don't think because Texas Tech plays great defense, but it should certainly be a fun one to watch. I'm not a
Yeah,
Coach K fan. I'd like to see him lose in the Sweet 16 to end his career. Because that'll make it even more fun for me. But I feel like it should just be an entertaining game no matter what.
yeah, no, I agree with that.
Mm.
Yeah, so I think that's gonna be just about it for us. Thank you for tuning in to the Kiran and Kiran show. We'll see you next time.
Mm.